Welcome to the RPGBOT.Podcast. I'm Randall James, and with me is Tyler Kamstra.
Hi, everybody.
And Ashilai.
Water, earth, fire, air. Everything was peaceful until the Ifriti attacked.
Okay, for a minute there, I thought you were going for Captain Planet.
That's also what I was. Yeah. I was ready to go. Art.
That would also be it. That would also be a good one. Captain Planet.
He's a hero.
You guys are older. You guys. That's your generation. I never watched Captain Planet.
I'm like a year older than you.
Still.
I'm old.
Okay.
Okay, they still have porridge. Wait, what? Okay, I'm just gonna keep going.
Did you say I hope they still have porridge or cold storage? It was one of the two.
Wait, who's hard of hearing now?
Huh? Who? What? What'd you say?
All right, Tyler, what is happening?
All right. Tonight, we're going to take a look at elementals.
What kind of elemental is that?
Disease elemental. We're suddenly in Warhammer 40k, and the elementals are war, pestilence, magic, and horny.
Hey, no, it's a cough is just an air elemental, man. I don't know what you're talking about. You're talking crazy.
Pain is weakness leaving the body. Coughs are air elementals leaving the lungs.
You're talking crazy talk with this pestilence stuff.
All right. So we're going to talk about elementals tonight. Now, this is a wide creature type with a lot of variation within it, a lot of really interesting, diverse creatures. So it's one of those really, really big creature types where it's a lot squeezed into one kind of loosely contained folder. There are some common elements. Well, geez, there I go using elements. There are some common elements between elementals. So we're going to look at what makes these things cool, what are some notable elementals that you'll run into in a lot of games, how you can use them as a GM, and some player options that are elemental focused.
Yeah, it's interesting. So we've talked about monsters on the show in the past, and I feel like a lot of the episodes we've done, there's one place you can go and you'll find lots of demons. There's one place you can go and you'll find lots of devils. There's one place you'll go and you'll find lots of humanoids. Elementals, I think, might be the first time that we've talked about something where it's like, actually, if you want to see all the elementals in the same place, I think you have to go to Sigil.
Probably, yeah. Even then, like, there's a lot of low intelligence elementals that probably wouldn't be there on purpose.
Hey, that's rude.
You're telling me that elementals from the plane of fire don't like mixing with elementals from the plane of water? I am shocked and appalled, sir.
That'd be a cool.
And this the year of our Lord 2024, we still have segregation, and it comes down to the basic building blocks of our elemental reality.
That'd be
for
a cool,
shame,
like romance movie where like
shame.
You can learn about like the prejudice of family at the same time two people fall in love. You could work out a script like that, right?
Yeah, it's called Elemental, and it was a movie that released earlier last year. Congratulations.
Did it do well?
It did fine.
Okay. All right.
It was cute. My kids like it.
Yeah. No, I've heard that it's a fine Pixar movie. Is it one of their best? No, but it's still fine.
Yeah. The message is cute. It's fine. We're not here to review a movie. That is not what we're here for.
Well, yeah, let's talk about where we would find elementals.
Elemental, an accurate depiction of how elementals work in 5th edition. Watch Pixar's Elemental.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Link in the show notes. Where are these things from?
Where are they from? So let's do a very, very brief summary of planar cosmology in D&D and Pathfinder. So we are all familiar with the material plane. It is the one we live on. There are the kind of reflections of the material plane. There's the Feywild and there's the Shadowfell. And then there's the ethereal plane, which is kind of a vague soup around all of that. Those are all the not the inner planes. Like that is the material plane and adjacent things to it. In Pathfinder's updated cosmology, it's now just called the universe. Immediately outside of that is what's called the inner planes. Now, these are the elemental planes. So fire, air, earth, water. If you're in Pathfinder, they just updated the cosmology. So fire, earth, water, metal, wood. There's no longer an air elemental plane. There is just air.
Yeah.
But also wood and metal. I like that.
Well, that's classically taken off of the 5 elements system from the Chinese system, rather than our Western style system, which has been used for everything. So it's nice to see them do something different. That is a thing, though, that people don't realize, that the Chinese system doesn't see air as an element, because air is just an absence of elements, is what they see it as.
Which is an interesting take, and I wonder how air elementals fit into things now. Inner planes, the outer planes are the ones that are all like alignment based, or no longer alignment based in PF2's updated cosmology, but that's Celestia, the Abyss, the Hells, etc. We're not worrying about those today. And then the soup between all of those is the Astral Sea, which is where you'll find Githyanki and Spelljammer shenanigans. The inner planes are the ones we care about the most tonight, because that is where we will find most elementals. Like, that is where they're from. That's where they pop out of the ground. Sincerely, I don't know how they reproduce. I'm pretty sure that has changed in every edition, and it varies between elementals, but a lot of them do just spawn whole cloth from the material of the elemental plane. Like fire elementals, they just kind of float up out of the Sea of Fire, which is named the Sea of Fire because it is literally a sea made of fire. Very
solid naming.
I pointed to changes in PF2's cosmology. They did just go through a major rework of what all the planes look like, what everything is called, a lot of things like this. The recent Rage of Elements supplement, very good, lots of cool stuff. Go grab that. We'll have links in the show notes. And of course, the culprit for all of this is again the OGL, because of course it is.
One thing also to add to the 5e system of the elemental planes that's often ignored is that there are many planes of elemental between the major ones. So between the water and earth plane is the plane of mud. Between the water and fire plane is the plane of steam. So there's a lot of those as well.
It's kind of weird that those really don't get a ton of attention. Like, it has this weird implication that the planes touch, and where they touch isn't just like, here's where they bump up against each other. It's kind of like they overlap a little bit, but that's also its own plane. So like the whole thing is kind of intentionally vague because it's weird extraplanar magic. And sometimes you'll just step through a portal and here I am on the plane of steam. I thought this was a sauna, and I got a little more than I bargained for.
Yeah, if you've ever wondered where mephits come from and why they aren't fire mephits or air mephits, instead it's steam mephit, magma mephit, ice mephit, and dust mephit, well, there you go. That's why.
Yeah.
They come from those little places in between.
Gotta love mephits, those weird, floaty little weirdos.
Mm-hmm.
I lost one character in my whole career so far. It was basically to a mephit.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, those explosions will get you.
Every time.
Especially in Baldur's Gate. Those freaking mud mephits, I hate them.
Oh, did you know you can throw the mephits at each other and cause them to explode and just cause a chain reaction?
Are you kidding me? Of course I knew that. I made a barbarian build for the specific purpose of throwing things at other things. So
it's
yes,
so
of course I knew that. It's great. It's fantastic. Not optimal in any way, shape, or form, but boy, is it fun.
Is there an achievement for that? Like if I blow like 20 mephits at the same time, do I get it?
Not for that, no.
Okay.
There is an achievement for using a creature as a weapon to hit another creature, though.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, that's the other thing is you don't have to throw creatures at other things. You can also just use them as improvised weapons. So if you go Tavern Brawler, it's fantastic. Taking a goblin and beating him to death with another goblin.
It's so
great.
good.
It's fantastic. It's everything I would ever want.
Anyway, okay. D&D's planes, they're basically a donut, the inner planes. They're a donut around the inner, like the central planes.
Spicy donut.
Yes. You get those like weird intersection planes like mud and steam, like Ash said. In PF2, the updated cosmology, it's more of like a layer cake situation, or like, what is a spherical thing with onion? It's an onion. It's an elemental onion.
It has layers.
Yeah, I do not remember the order of the layers, tragically, but they are layers.
The
and they
planes have layers. Onions have the planes. You get it. They both have layers.
Somebody should really do a hot pocket because, like, it makes perfect sense, right? Like, it's absolutely molten fire on the exterior, but then it has the ice core.
Oh, so now we're stealing Jim Gaffigan jokes. Got it.
That feels right. You've
He's
got
not
your
the
elemental plane of cheese, pepperoni, scalding hot bread, and ice in the middle.
You laugh.
He's not the first person to ruin a Hot Pocket. Okay.
You laugh, but my DM in my Pathfinder 1 game actually introduced an elemental plane of cheese. Yes, it is a thing.
That's wonderful.
And it's fantastic, and I love it.
Constantly being invaded by the French.
Yeah, he did it because he did it. Wow. Add racism to the list of our sins. But also, he did it because he wanted to play a cheese wizard in one of my games, and I was excited about him doing a cheese wizard, but one of my other players was like, if he plays a cheese wizard, I'm out of this game. So I was like, all right. So he, as revenge, he put it in his game. He's like, I'm putting a cheese plane in my game, and there's nothing you can do to stop me.
I respect that. I respect that level of spite. Okay. All right. So let's look at the very basic elemental creatures. So these are X elemental. Like elemental is literally in their name. They are the simplest form of elemental. They're the most iconic. When you think blank elemental, it's what you get. So fire elemental, it's a thing made of fire. Air elemental, it's a thing made of air. Water elemental, you guessed it, it's a thing made of water. Very self-descriptive. They have powers that make sense for their element. Air elementals can fly and turn into tornadoes, which is a pain. Earth elementals can just move through stone freely. Like most things with a burrow speed can't burrow through solid stone. Air elementals just literally swim through it. Like it's a whole thing.
Earth elementals do.
What did I say?
I think you said air. It's fine.
I may have.
They get it.
Yeah, water elementals can turn into whirlpools, and unsurprisingly, fire elementals can set things on fire. It's kind of their whole deal. Let's see, PF2 added the metal and wood elements, so like they've got some spicy new options. Metal elementals are basically a ball of angry scrap metal, and wood elementals, the best way I found to describe it is imagine a coconut with googly eyes on it and kind of like tangling vines behind it, and it flies.
Okay, so it's the sort of like the creatures from Moana.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I have a few questions here for metal and wood elemental, so I haven't looked at these yet.
Mm-hmm.
If I kill a metal elemental, do I, for instance, like get a hunk of iron or steel? Is this actually more efficient than mining?
I don't know the answer to that, and it would probably depend on how your GM wants to run it. Maybe killing an intelligent creature and using them as ore isn't great.
I hear you. I feel like we've done worse. And then that's going to kind of lead to my follow-up question. Isn't a treant kind of a wood elemental?
Kinda.
Boy, that's interesting.
So something that you need to realize is that in Pathfinder 2, air elemental, wood, and metal elementals are families of creatures. They don't refer to a specific creature.
Okay.
So I'm just looking it up. Like a metal elemental includes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different elementals.
Any of them nickel?
And that's just in Rage of Elements.
I don't know if it's just in Rage of Elements. It might be in more stuff, but yes.
We did just start getting metal elementals and wood elementals in Rage of Elements, and that's the most recent rule supplement that we've gotten with new creatures. We're still waiting for Monster Core to come out in the spring.
Oh.
I'm sure there'll be new things in there. It's entirely possible that all of the existing plant creatures will be changed to wood elementals, and honestly, that would be kind of an interesting choice.
Yeah, makes good sense to me.
Oh my god. I just looked up wood elemental, and there's a type of wood elemental called a vegetable lamb.
Yep.
And it is awesome. I love the picture they have for it. I am sending this to the podcast chat because it is fantastic. Anybody who's listening who wants to see it, just look up wood lamb. It's great. Or vegetable lamb.
Imagine a lamb chia pet on top of a walking stump.
Yeah, but it also looks pissed off, which is fantastic. And it has a little broccoli on its back and a daffodil. And that is hilarious. Or dandelion, that's what it is. It's a dandelion. I freaking love that.
If you read the description, it grows edible food that is a plant that tastes like meat.
Yeah, that's why it's got that sprig of broccoli on its back. So people who domesticate it, they don't harvest wool from it, they harvest vegetables from it. I love this so much. I am putting this in my next game. Absolutely.
It's literally like it is the impossible meat elemental.
Yeah, beyond bovine.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Pathfinder once again coming out with the really solid creative monsters. Come on, Watsy, get your stuff together. This is what you're competing with.
I can't remember the last time Watsy gave us a new elemental. Like new to 5e, sure. New, truly new, no idea.
Absolutely not. I want a PF2 wood elemental that's actually just a plank of wood with eyeballs drawn on it. That would also be.
So you mean the plank from Ed, Ed, and Eddie?
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah.
What's that plank's name again? I can't remember.
Just Plank.
Is it just Plank?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the final boss of a Rage of Elements game.
just keeps killing you by accidents of physics.
Yeah. It's actually a tree in its final form.
Yeah. Your reward is the ultimate jawbreaker.
All right. So elementals. So jumping very briefly in the Wayback Machine, we're just gonna peek inside it and close it right away. Back in the 3rd edition days, elementals came in various sizes. They started at small and got all the way up to colossal plus. The bigger the elemental was, the higher CR it was, and also the smarter it was. So better and better stats, smarter and smarter. The elemental monoliths, which were like CR 18 or 19 or something nuts like that, were like superhuman intelligence, colossal plus in size, and there was a 9th level spell to summon them, which was pretty cool. We don't get those anymore. In 5e, there's just like fire elemental. It is medium, and that is all you shall ever get, and I hope you like it.
I don't.
You don't? You don't want to summon an even bigger fire?
No, the problem is I want to summon an even bigger fire. Like I want to be a level 18 wizard and be like, hey, what if this was less lame?
Yeah. Accurate. All right, let's look at the fun elementals, because like the basic ones are fine. They're fine. They do elemental things. They're CR2, CR4, something small like that. And then we get the fun elemental.
I mean,
so
nothing's going to top vegetable lamb. Sorry.
That's fair. The sheer utility.
It's the ultimate familiar. You're never hungry again.
I like that you said sheer.
It wasn't intentional, but yeah. So Ash brought up mephits earlier. So if you don't remember what a mephit looks like, imagine an imp, give it a really long nose, like comically like 3 foot long nose. This thing is like wing, body, nose in equal proportions, and then make it an element or some combination of elements. Like there's mud, slime, smoke, ash, fire, magma, ice. I think there's like 8 or 10 different kinds of mephits just in the 5e monster manual. Like they are numerous and they are annoying, and when you kill them, they explode.
Sucks.
Yeah. That's the most annoying thing about them, because on their own, they're kind of pathetic.
Yeah.
Then randomly, when they die, they do a ton of damage.
Yeah. Primary function is exploding.
Yeah, we're playing through Dragonlance now, and the Draconians also have like on death something crazy happens. If you replaced every Draconian with a mephit, all of the characters would be dead by now.
Maybe.
Like, I need a better Draconian. I'm just going to take mephits.
Yeah, just send a bunch of mephits into a formation, and they'll be gone.
So PF2, they did something really cool, because I'm pretty sure mephit is a word that D&D made up. So now they're called elemental scamps. Ash, it sounds like you might have. It sounds like you might have Rage of Elements open. Open up. Have you seen the air scamp?
Let's see.
So
elemental scamp. Yes.
When they announced that they were making this change, they shared art of the air scamp. Oh no, is it not in here? Did they reserve that one for Monster Core? No. What have you done to me, Paizo?
Yeah, it's not in Archives of Nethys.
Okay.
Oh wait, I've got an air. No, I have an air mephit from the previous. Never mind.
Okay.
How do we share physical like visual media in our audio podcast?
Wait, I might have. Oh no, that's a dust mephit.
Here, I'm posting it in the chat. Oh, it's a water scamp. My bad. Okay, somebody open up that link and describe to me exactly what you see, because it's amazing.
I think I might see it. Hold on. Does it look like a little bat with big bulging eyes?
Yes. It looks like
it's adorable.
Somebody took Gizmo from Gremlins, and dyed him blue, gave him bug eyes, gave him wings, and then gave him ears as big as his wings.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's adorable. They also introduced, of course, metal and wood scamps. So I have in the show notes a little quote from the metal scamp description. Could I ask one of you guys to read that dramatically?
Where is it?
Here, I'll highlight it.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I can read that. Metal scamps breathe shrapnel. The capricious and destructive metal scamps are self-appointed forces of entropy, taking great pleasure in indiscriminately wrecking everything around them, sometimes even to their own detriment.
That is a creature. Just, I am here to cause entropy to all things. I am small and made of metal. Deal with it. Wonderful.
Yeah. The reason why I couldn't find water scamps on Archives of Nethys is apparently they're still called water mephits on Archives.
Archives of Nethys, as of this recording, has not updated to include the remaster material. They're working on it, and they're apparently like super behind schedule, but it's an all-volunteer team, so absolutely no shade on them. They do
exactly. No, it's an amazing resource. Yeah. We all love it.
Yeah.
Please keep going.
Yeah. Some other notable elementals. There's Azers, which are dwarfs, but their heads are on fire. Other than that, they just like dwarf things, except that they're more on fire.
Didn't we fight Azers in Tin Towns?
I think so. Like in the there was a Durgar fort, I think, and they might have had a couple Azers hanging out.
Yep. Yes. There's Azers in there.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Spoilers. Whoops.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. It's a tiny spoiler. But yeah, flaming dwarves. They like smithing things. There's elemental myrmidons, which are literally just take your bog standard elemental and magically stick them into a suit of full plate armor. Somehow that teaches them to use weapons and sometimes cast spells. Don't question it. Don't question it. Basically, you up the CR and give them an AC of 18, and it's fine. There's cool stuff like elemental stalkers. Yeah, they're elementals, or they're air elementals that they're invisible stalkers, not elemental stalkers. They'll kill you.
Should we talk about the wish-granting elephant in the room? Genies.
It's fine. It was fine.
Wish you hadn't done that.
It had to be done. You were gonna do. You don't lie to me. You would have done that if you had thought of it. You absolutely would have done that.
Wish you weren't so awkward, bud. All right. Genies. Hey, there's a lot of them, and weirdly, there's a lot of overlap between them. So historically, genies in D&D have kept the same alignment for as long as I've known them to exist. Air genies are chaotic good, earth genies are neutral evil, fire genies are lawful evil, and water genies are chaotic neutral. So really the only ones that are super friendly are the air genies, and like that hasn't changed in several editions. PF2 is moving away from
friendly, they will still hold a grudge if you try to capture them.
Yes.
That's reasonable.
PF2 is, of course, moving away from alignment towards edicts and anathemas, so I don't know where they land right now. But things that all genies have in common, they're all extremely vain. They're very materialistic, typically. They value art, beauty, craftsmanship, cool stories, good food, all of those luxurious, comfortable things. Like, I have a ton of power and I'm immortal, I'm going to get comfy. Like, that is genies, regardless of the type that they are. Also, all of the genies have very strong opinions about every other kind of genie. Most of their opinions are negative. All of their descriptions, at least in the PF2 bestiary, talk about like this kind of genie will tolerate this other kind of genie. They think these kind of genies suck. They'll trade with these genies but aren't really happy about it. But it's mostly just like, yeah, the elements that don't get along, those kinds of genies also don't get along.
I'm now inspired to create a puzzle for my characters where they have to plan a dinner party where one of each kind of gen are going to come to dinner and we have to figure out where they need to sit down.
I'm pretty sure I failed that puzzle in a True Dungeon game once.
Okay.
Genies, they're kind of cool. They're one of the most stable elementals that you'll run into. They're not basically animal intelligence elemental creatures running around doing stuff, just getting by. Like, genies are typically smarter than humanoids. They've got a lot of magical power. They're immortal, so they, live forever until someone murders them. So if you go to one of the inner planes and you're looking for somebody to talk to, a genie isn't an awful choice. Like, they've been there a while, they know things, they have power, they may be willing to help you. Usually they're willing to trade, especially if the trade favors the genie. But also, unless it's an air genie, they're probably going to do something hurtful to you.
Oh, there's now metal genies in Pathfinder 2. Did you know that?
Yep. Okay, I grabbed another bit of flavor text from Rage of Elements because this one made me happy. Hey, Randall, read this one.
Zuras favor music over all other arts. Given their long isolation, however, their preferences are quite unlike those of other genies, or most musicians of the universe. They value volume, intensity, and discordant combinations of sounds. Lead vocal parts incorporate droning and screams, often with the chorus providing a melodic counterpoint.
They've been isolated from the rest of reality for so long that they developed metal music.
It's obviously be metal music. It's for metal genies.
Yeah.
I love Pathfinder 2 so much. Have I mentioned that? It's fantastic.
Yeah. We somehow wound up with like really hardcore screamo.
Yeah. Just the absurdity there.
Is it worth?
Isn't that how System of a Down started?
Fair? I don't know. You're going to have to ask Wikipedia, but I will accept this as headcanon.
Why they always send the poor? Why they always send the poor?
It's probably worth doing so with OGL, with PF2 removing everything they can to make sure they can be completely on their own license. Our genies have been renamed in PF2. Is it worth going through, like, this is the name you might be familiar with, this is what you're going to be looking for in the future?
I mean, it wouldn't hurt. I can never keep the names straight anyway, so I had to write them all down. But yeah, let's list them off.
I can't pronounce these things. Okay.
Me neither.
I'll take a stab at it.
Thank you, Adam.
So we have air genies in 5e. They're called Ginny. In Pathfinder 2, there are a lot of different air genies. So there's Jathum. There is still Genie, at least according to Archives of Nethys, but we already established that they're a little bit out of date. Then we have Earth Genies. The 5th edition ones are called Dao. The Pathfinder 2 ones are called Shaitan or Jabali. Fire Genies are Ifriti in 5th edition, and in Pathfinder 2, they're Ifriti or Ifrit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't actually think that they changed these in the remaster because D&D can't copyright those. Those are names from mythology.
Yeah, so a lot of the Jinn lore is taken from Arabic mythology and Islam. So you'll see Jinn there.
Some Hindu as well.
Yeah, you'll see Afridi, you'll see Ifrit. So Jaitan, is that Hindu?
No idea.
No, that's Arabic, I think. I apologize if we are wildly misconstruing stuff to any of our listeners. We don't know anything about anything. We are a bunch of white dudes.
Yeah. Poor understanding of history, yada yada.
Yeah, sorry. I
will say the Rage of Elements is using different names for the genies. So like the ones on Archives of Nethys mostly match the names in D&D. It looks like Rage of Elements is at least hinting at new names for all the different kinds of genies.
Well, did they rename the genies in Rage of Elements, or did they just add new genies?
They refer to them as different names. Like the name Dao doesn't appear in Rage of Elements, for example. Or
right,
I guess
but it doesn't appear on Archives. Dao doesn't appear on the Archives of Nethys either. So
True.
that's from what I can tell, if you do the genie sort by genie family, there's several different like earth genies, there's several different fire genies and water genies. So there's multiple different types of genies. It's not just all one for each element.
Well, shoot, I missed out when I was doing research.
Mm-hmm. I'm just a better researcher, apparently.
Doing
I did it live too. So and that was his last words before he was fired. But we skipped water genies. So water genies in 5th edition are Marids. In Pathfinder 2, they are called, I am so sorry that I'm going to butcher this. I believe it's Fadan or Fathan.
Something like that.
Yeah,
I've heard it both
something
ways.
like that.
You've heard both ways.
You are full of crap, sir. You have not heard that. We already talked about Zura, which are the metal genies. Those are exclusive to Pathfinder 2, and then the other ones that are exclusive to Pathfinder 2 are wood genies called Kizadar. Again, I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah, I believe you.
Yeah.
Genies, they're cool. And then Pathfinder also has
cool.
Johnny, which are just all of the elements. Pre-remaster. What was that?
So they're the Avatar.
Yeah, I guess they kind of are. I wonder what's going to happen to Johnny, because pre-remaster, pre-OGL, Johnny were all 4 of the classic elements. With the updated cosmology, I wonder if they're going to update Johnny lore, or if they're just going to continue and be like, oh yeah, we just, for whatever reason, no metal or wood for us.
I had a friend named Johnny. He was kind of a tool.
As a DM, how are we going to leverage these things in our games? I feel like that's what you meant to say just now, right, Ash?
Yeah. Totally.
Elementals are one of my favorites to put in dungeons. They're a great creature to put in there without breaking verisimilitude, because you can just say like, oh yeah, they're elementals. Their diet is something weird and they're immortal. They can live in this dungeon and be perfectly fine, subsisting on a diet of fetid water and bad smells or something. So yeah, if you need a dungeon that's just going to be sitting there perfectly static, just waiting for the players to come along, like undead, elementals, both great creatures to just stick in there and have them wait for the players to come hit them.
It's also just the perfect excuse if people ask, well, how'd they get here? So a wizard did it.
Yeah.
Although sometimes a druid did it when it comes to elementals.
This is true.
Yeah.
But they really do make sense in the sense that it's like, well, if I have any magical power whatsoever, and I need to guard this door, the thing that I'm going to do is just summon an elemental, bound it to the door, and be like, don't let anybody through. I'm taking a shower.
Yeah. The other way that I've seen elementals come into a place is because of, the desecration of a place, or something has happened to make those elements angry. And the elementals are basically a embodiment of nature's wrath. That's a pretty common one to use in World of Warcraft settings.
Have you ever met a tree so angry that elementals popped out and started attacking you? I have.
I have too.
Good times.
And you know what I did? I chopped that tree down because it was hurting me.
That's reasonable. That's reasonable. Oh, something I discovered right before we jumped on to record. Wood scamps in PF2 have weakness 2 to axes. So if you hit them specifically with an axe, they take extra damage.
They have a weakness to axes?
To axes, yeah.
I mean, that's fair.
They're made of wood, of course.
Oh, yeah, I guess. Wait. I have to see then. I have to see if Kizadar are also.
You ever try to chop a tree down with a sword?
Doesn't work.
They
well.
are. They're weak to axes. At weak 5 to axes. The wood genie is more weak to axes than their method equivalent. Woof.
That's crazy.
Well, now I know if I ever go to the elemental plane of wood and some guy is pissing me off, I just have an axe. It's like, I'm gonna chop you down. That's what I think.
Imagine a gang of lumberjacks just coming through a portal.
It's like their worst it's their worst nightmare. Oh God, run! The lumberjacks are here.
Oh man. It's like a wood genie gets dropped in the Pacific Northwest and just has a panic attack.
Everyone in flannel shirts, jeans.
They were wearing
oh no!
What to do?
Timber. It's now a requirement in my game is that if you kill a Kizadar with an axe, you have to yell timber.
Yeah. I feel like
frightened too in all.
Yeah, flannel causes the frightened condition. I love that. It's fantastic.
5e really they should have leaned harder into damage vulnerabilities. Like elementals
they
could
really
have had
should have.
Yeah. Tragic. Waste. I'm pretty sure fire elementals do take damage if you get them wet. So like if you have a decanter of endless water, just squirt gun fire elementals. Like, bad cat, get off the counter. Bad fire elemental, stop burning down my house.
Yeah.
Afridi's
have
they have weakness to they have weakness to cold 10.
Whoa.
Woof.
Yeah.
In PF2 they do, and that makes perfect sense. In 5e, they're immune to fire, no surprises. That's it.
Yeah.
Boo.
Yeah, damage vulnerabilities in 5e are super rare. It's weird.
That's because I think vulnerability is just so strong in 5e. That's why. That's what I like about Pathfinder 2 is that weakness doesn't double your damage. It just adds damage to whatever the source is, which is good. And it allows them to use weaknesses more. And it makes recalling knowledge on certain creatures actually worth something.
Yeah. Let's see. So other cool ways to use elementals. See, we talked about putting them in dungeons. We talked about having them pop out in weird places. I like the inner planes just as a place to send your players if you want to get them really out of their comfort zone. Nothing will make you uncomfortable like suddenly being in a plane that doesn't have ground, or being in a plane where everything, literally everything, yes, that too, everything is on fire all the time.
And if you really want to traumatize your players, send them to the plane of water. Why? Because everybody on some level has thalassophobia. If you go deep enough, they have thalassophobia.
Man.
But it's also that sending them to the other planes is really easy because it's easier to get to the inner planes than it is to get to the outer planes in most settings.
If I send my characters to some of these planes, like by definition, what happens? Let's take I'm going to send them to the plane of fire. I'm going to send them to the city of brass. Do they just die? Like you can't bake a humanoid. I mean, you can, but not for long.
Usually, no. Like there are parts of these planes that are survivable to creatures native to the material plane. The plane of fire has a very famous city called the City of Brass, and much like Sigil is like the transportation hub of the multiverse, the City of Brass is kind of like an economic hub for the multiverse. Even in 5e, it specifically says, if magic items are for sale anywhere in the multiverse, it's the City of Brass.
Okay.
Because, lawful evil genies that like wealth and stuff, they're probably going to have a shady market that they're willing to sell you stuff in.
Yeah, there's actually a brief description of the plane of fire and how it works in the DMG, which is, whether on the plane of fire is marked by fierce winds and thick ash, although the air is breathable, creatures are not native to the plane must cover their mouths and eyes to avoid stinging cinders. The heat in the plane of fire is comparable to a hot desert on the material plane and poses a similar threat to travelers. The deeper one goes into the plane, the rarer water becomes. Beyond that point, the plane holds no sources of water, so travelers must carry their own supplies or produce water by magic. Yeah, so there's a lot of different places. There's the cinder wastes, a great expanse of black cinders and embers crossed by rivers of lava, the fountains of creation, home to the Azers, then the Sea of Fire, which we already talked about, which is probably not where you want to go if you are flammable.
Yeah.
And then the City of Brass, yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. The way that you describe that, like it's like being in a desert on the material plane on a hot day, but it's like that all the time.
It's also probably the hottest desert you will ever experience.
Yeah, I've got to wear coverings over my face and my eyes just to not have like my eyeballs light on fire or get singed. All these things sound bad. I say that to say, would you allow your players to benefit from a long rest without extra precautions?
No,
unless they were in the City of Brass and they could find accommodations made for them.
Okay,
then no.
And this is where like having some magical doohickey, like I'm going to go into my tiny hut, for instance, something like this is going to be able to protect us. But absent having that, we're in for a bad time.
Well, I will also say usually the level that you go to the plane of fire at, you probably have something like Liamon's tiny hut at the very least, or even more so Mordenkainen's magnificent mansion. Because if you can plane shift, chances are you can probably cast Mordenkainen's magnificent mansion.
Yeah. You're at least high enough level. Whether or not it's on your spell list is a different question.
Yeah.
In previous editions, at least in 3rd edition, there was just a spell which protected you from the ambient effects of a plane that you were on. It lasted like 8 hours or something. If you were going to another plane of existence, you brought wands or scrolls or someone who could just cast it. And they're just like, oh yeah, I'm on the plane of fire. Boop. I am now protected from this plane's effects and I'm fine. It did present kind of an annoying tax, and it did like, welcome to this cool place. We're going to have a fun challenge. Oh, you brought that second level spell? Never mind. No fun. No fun will be had here. It's like you brought a ranger to a survival scenario, you monster.
Yeah, I feel that all the time.
Mhm.
There is kind of an analog to the city of Brass. There is a city in the plane of water, which is housed in a perfect glass dome full of breathable air. Creatures that can't breathe underwater go there to visit. There's also some other like noteworthy locations on the plane of water, like the demi-plane of ooze. The
Thick water. That's great.
Yeah, the demon prince of ooze found himself in the plane of water by accident and was like, I live here now, I'm going to make all of this ooze. And somehow they magically contained it to a giant bubble. It's like, this is now a demi-plane. So demon prince of ooze is just stuck there now. And if you go in there, oozes, just ooze everywhere. Everything is gross.
Shredder, some turtles.
They also made some weird changes to the plane of water in 5e. In previous editions, the plane of water was water in every direction. There was no up, there was no down, there was no surface. It was just water everywhere. Like Ash said, if you go deep enough, everybody has thalassophobia. Imagine that you are infinitely deep, but since there's no up, there's no surface to be below. Like,
I wanna.
yeah. Fortunately, there's no crushing water pressure because, again, there's no up. There's really no gravity. It's like being in space, except it's water, and there's krakens. In 5th edition, they changed it, so now there is a surface, there are shallows, there are islands. The plane of water is described as like, basically think Waterworld, that one movie. Let's see, so what else can we do with elementals? We talked about summoning them into dungeons, cool stuff like that. Elementals are awesome things to summon. Like there's plenty of spells to do it with. There's lots of class features that let you do it. Planar binding is kind of awesome as a plot point. Like you could in theory cast planar binding and like summon a genie and be like, hey, you're stuck here until you grant me a wish. And then the genie gets to do the fun thing of like, I can't.
Yeah, just be careful with even just summon elemental spells, because if you lose control, one of my players died that way. Their earth elemental that they summoned to help them break out of prison turned on them and smashed them to a pulp.
Yeah, double check your spell descriptions. In 5e, at least, most spells that can't happen, the ones where you summon fiends, they definitely can. I can't remember about summoning elementals.
Well, summoning elementals, it specifically says if you lose concentration on the spell, it immediately becomes hostile to you.
Oh, great. That's what you want.
Can you end the spell at will?
Yeah, if you end it at will, then I believe it unsummons it. But if you lose concentration, it just turns hostile to everything.
And if you were supposed to say you were part of everything.
It rages for... Well, yeah. It rages, assumingly you're the closest thing to it. It rages for the entire amount that the spell would have lasted.
Jeez.
Okay, how would you rule that, though? If I can drop it at will, could I drop it prior to resolving the concentration check? The answer has to be no, right?
Yeah, that would be cheating.
Okay.
That feels too good to be true, so it probably is.
Yeah, here's the description for Conjure Elemental. It says, if your concentration is broken, the elemental doesn't disappear. Instead, you lose control of the elemental. It becomes hostile toward you and your companions, and it might attack. An uncontrolled elemental can't be dismissed by you, and it disappears 1 hour after you summon it. So you can dismiss it when you have concentration.
Cool.
You just can't dismiss it once you've lost concentration. So don't lose concentration.
Yeah, elementals can also be great allies for antagonists. They're one of those things where... What was that?
Princes of the Apocalypse was
Princes of the Apocalypse, great example. Yeah, you can say like, oh, they're summoned by plot magic. They make great like cannon fodder essentially, because like you don't have to have the moral qualms about indiscriminately killing them like you would with a person. And yeah, you can fit them in almost anywhere.
Yeah, and what's great is that you can even have them as campaign ending bosses, because Mordenkainen brought in elemental titans, which are great. I believe it's Zaratan, the large turtle, for the earth, and then Leviathan for water, Phoenix for fire, and the Tempest for air. All very powerful, all very scary, all very large. Don't fight them unless you want to die.
What CR are those?
That's a good question. Let me double check. So Phoenix is 16, CR 16.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. Leviathan is 20, CR 20. Zaratan is 22, and Tempest or Elder Tempest is 23.
Okay, so 20.
Wow, look at that. I did that in order by coincidence.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so there's some higher level elementals. Elemental evil is a whole thing dating back to super early in D&D history. There were the princes of elemental evil, and they've been a thing for a long time. Like, I can never remember their names. Every once in a while they pop up in an adventure. Usually it's an elemental evil themed adventure. So there's the Temple of Elemental Evil, which has been around for forever. And then there's Princes of the Apocalypse, which was inspired by that and took a lot of ideas from it. Not Princes of the Apocalypse. What am I thinking? What is the name of that adventure? It may just be Elemental Evil.
Temple of Elemental Evil?
I said that. Like, what was the one 5e? Good God.
I think it was Princes of the Apocalypse.
See, I'm questioning myself. Is Princes of the Apocalypse? It is. Okay, sorry. I was thinking like, no, is that Out of the Abyss? Like, yeah. Princes of the Apocalypse, Elemental Evil, everybody. It's great. PF2 did something really clever with the Elemental Evil creatures to explain the cosmology shift when they introduced Rage of Elements and like the remaster and all that. They introduced lore saying that the Princes of Elemental Evil banded together and imprisoned all of the Princes of Elemental Good. And as a result of doing that, the planes of metal and wood were basically like shunted out of existence and became inaccessible. And the Princes of Elemental Evil have basically held that status quo for forever. And then gradually over the course of time, players, wizards, various people did other things and shook their hold. So the Princes of Elemental Evil lost control of the Princes of Elemental Good. They reemerged, and now everything has returned to the previous, like the status quo prior to the Princes of Elemental Evil doing shenanigans. It was a neat explanation. It's like, where did these planes come from? Oh, they've been there the entire time. Just they've been hidden away for so long that it predates written record. Sure, I'll take that.
Works for me.
You can also introduce elements or elementals in your game through various magic items. There are items that specifically exist just to summon elementals across like every edition of D&D and Pathfinder. There's gems that will do it once. There's items that can do it once per day, like brazier of controlling fire elementals. Like it's a little portable brazier. You light it, fire elemental pops out once per day, and they obey your commands and all that. If you want to give one of the players in your game a cool little summon thing they can use once in a while, like, here you go, here's this item. It's probably not going to be useful in combat for very long, but it's great if you're like, oh, I need an elemental to go like deliver letters or like fetch objects over there.
I'm imagining like first command for fire elemental, don't light everything on fire.
Fire elemental just lays down and has an existential crisis.
It's like, but it's too late.
Well, how about we talk about some player options for elemental stuff? But like beyond items, beyond summoning things, there are other cool things available to us. Randall, we're playing our Dragonlance campaign, and one of our players is a water genasi. So they're a great example here. Genasi have existed in D&D, I think, since 2nd edition, at the very least since 3rd. They're humanoids touched by the planes. So, water, fire, earth, air, and they've been around for a while. Their lore has changed a little bit over time, I think. So sometimes it's just like, oh, their bloodline is infused with magic. Sometimes it's like, oh, they're literally descended from genies. The answer might be both. The answer might be neither. Just use whatever makes sense for your character, I guess. But hey, you get cool elemental powers from your race, and that's fun.
Yeah. How about Water Genasi ever got to Kryn? We haven't answered that. It's for another session.
Yeah. PF2 obviously can't use the name Genasi, so they've been using the term planar scion. There were different planar scions for every element until very recently. There was even one for like the Johnny equivalent where it's like you're all 4 elements. Now it's just you're a planar scion. Here's your list of feat options. Like you can choose a bloodline feat at first level that distinguishes you to a specific element. But the issue they had was they were like 90% identical.
I believe the planar scion stuff is a heritage, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And not an ancestry. At least in the old version of Pathfinder 2, the ones on Archives.net, those had like Oread was one. There was one for every element, like you were saying.
They're versatile heritages, so you can apply it to any ancestry. So you could be like a fire elemental dwarf or an air elemental goblin or something cool like that.
And then what you're saying is in Rage of Elements, they simplified this pretty tremendously. Now there's just a planar scion.
Yeah, exactly.
Pick from a menu.
Let's see. I don't think at least in D&D, there aren't any other elemental race options. If you're dying to just play an actual elemental, go grab monstrous races. It's still usable.
Does a wood elf count?
Wood elf elemental?
Maybe
I don't know. Class options, we've got some great stuff. The Genie Warlock is probably the most obvious example in 5e because you're getting your power specifically directly from an elemental. Like there's damage type centric things, but like genies are really like Genie Warlocks very specifically tied to an elemental.
There's also, if you're feeling like suffering, Wave Elements Monk. That's another one.
Oh yeah.
If you want to play out your Avatar fantasy badly, then yeah, do that. Though if you want to play your Avatar fantasy and do it more fun, I recommend Pathfinder 2's Kineticist. It is way better and super fun. You can, as a Earth Kineticist, you can petrify people with a reaction. It's great.
Kineticist is really cool. It is the longest class in PF2 in terms of page count. Mm-hmm. Basically every element, and like they did the 5 elements thing, every element is as many feats as most classes get. So it's just incredibly detailed, crazy customizable. You could easily play a party of just all kineticists and everyone would be wildly different. Yeah, Kineticist is awesome. I like it a lot.
If you haven't played Kineticist, you are missing out. It's great.
And there are a couple of other like minor things that you'll run into, mostly magic items. If you're playing PF2, look for Geniekin weapons. There's like a sword equivalent and there's a dagger equivalent, and they're specifically for like Gish builds where you cast a spell and then you attack with the weapon. You get some bonus damage. It's a neat little thing. Brings a little elemental flavor. Feels really cool on Omegas.
We have a question of the week this week. This week, our question of the week comes to us from @BumBudBro.
What a name.
When designing adventures, how do you tackle the issue of having players break the setting? Peace clerics of using teleport with a familiar, for an example. Do you take it in stride, be upset that your encounter got crushed, ban options, try to design something bulletproof?
I've run into this problem quite a bit. I think at the end of the day, you have to kind of call what you think is going to be overpowered in the game that you're trying to run beforehand and just get out in front of it. Like, for instance, my Mittenheim setting that I've talked about a few times here that has no sun, something like a Gloomstalker Ranger or a Twilight Cleric would be absolutely broken in that setting. So that's why I don't allow those when I'm running that game. I don't like doing that, but at the same time, it's just what is most fun. You want to make sure that other players aren't also feeling like they're the second fiddle to this guy who can basically do everything himself. So it's just in the interest of fun for the other players as well as your own fun. That being said, designing something bulletproof is impossible in 5th edition. Actually, in any game, it's impossible to design something bulletproof. Players will always find a way to abuse systems, and you kind of have to just be okay with it. An example, actually, this has happened to me several times, where players will just completely avoid an entire boss fight with a brilliant use of mechanics that I didn't think about. So, for instance, in one of my games I was running, my players were in a dream, in the realm inside their dreams, essentially. They had to go to sleep to face this thing called the Nightmare. They were in its lair, the Nightmare, and it was going to be this really intricate boss fight where I was going to use players' fears to manifest against them and stuff like that. But the players decided to do nothing for the first few rounds of combat while it attacked them. And I'm like, what's going on? And they all thought about a positive moment in their life. And I had this system in place where players could cast higher level spells that they wouldn't normally cast if they rolled a decent enough check. And this player came up with the brilliant idea to cast Calm Emotions on the Nightmare at a higher level, which was brilliant. It made me mad.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I had to leave the table because I was like, oh my God, I've worked on this fight for so long, and you come out and I have to honor it, obviously, because that it just makes logical sense. And so I came back and I was like, well done. You solved my nightmare puzzle. You win. I mean, another example is there was this big Thunderbird that was attacking the players' ships. And one of my players is playing custom made Fool class that isn't super powerful, but they do get one good ability, which is they get what's called a fate point, which is a limited amount of use. They only get as many of them as they have levels, and they can never come back, but it guarantees you a crit on something. And he tried an animal handling check and used a fate point on it. And I was like, all right, yeah. You now have a Thunderbird friend. Cool. I can't see this going wrong.
Yeah.
So you just kind of have to roll with the punches, make it make sense for your game. If it really becomes a thing where it's like, oh, now my players have an unstoppable friend that will make everything easier, that's a discussion you can have with your players. Like, look, I want you to still be able to do the cool thing, but can we find a way where you don't have a pet that is stronger than all of you put together? That would be great. So, yeah.
I love that example because it's very specifically like they gave up a resource that they can literally never get back to have that awesome outcome. So they paid something for it. And was everybody at the table having fun?
Oh, yeah.
Was everybody, that like awesome?
When he did that, everybody at the table started going crazy. They were just like, woo! He did that another time where like there was a siege of a town, and there was one of the big bats who was besieging the town was riding on a giant snake that had broken through the wall and it was going towards the center of town. He was on a ballista and he was aiming the ballista at a tiny because I described the guy as like at least several miles away from his position. And I was like, it's going to require a high DC to hit them. And he was like, I'm going to use my fate point to hit him.
Perfect.
And it was great. And everybody lost their minds at the table. Everybody was cheering. It was an epic moment. I'm leaning on B to release the Fool class because it's a great class and I think it's a lot of fun. And it scratches an itch in 5e that I think is missing.
So generally I would say like that in my mind, what Ash just described is kind of the answer. If people at the table are having fun, they're loving it. You as a creator, you probably invested a lot and you really thought through how this thing was going to go, and your players found a way to deal with it differently, but they loved it. I think you still won as a DM. They still won as players. Like, let that go forward. If you get to the point in like maybe using the Peace Cleric as an example where it kind of stops being fun and it stops being fun pretty quickly, or you've had with these folks, you've seen that class in action and you've seen historically, it stops being fun pretty quickly. You know, if you ever get to the point where somebody's like, well, so-and-so's turn's next, let's let them deal with this. Like that's just the expectation is one particular player character is going to handle all situations or most even. That's the place where I say, yeah, well, I mean, that's different because it's a wizard. I feel like that's the place where you have that conversation with your players where you say like, hey, look, we have to nuke this a little bit because we're not enjoying it as much. I think the best situation that I've had for that was, you know, it was a tiny hut situation in the desert in Dragonlance recently where I went to the players and I said, like, you're nuking every situation. Combat is over and around. None of you are even taking damage. And that's great. We went to gritty realism just so there would be viewer spells to go around. And ultimately, I think it was a better game through that run.
Yeah, I agree. Like adjusting the rules on the fly to answer that situation was absolutely the right choice.
That being said, something that I want, a piece of advice that I do want to give to DMs is don't be afraid to just have your players curb stomp an entire battle. Occasionally that can be very fun and it can make your players feel powerful. Don't feel like every battle that you make has to be an epic challenge, because that can get exhausting after a while.
In fact, most shouldn't, right? Like,
Yeah.
If every time you have an encounter, a combat encounter, that combat encounter is lasting like 10 rounds, stop it. Nobody's having fun, I think. Unless that's your thing, in which case, I guess keep going, but I'm right.
I've always found the Mike Merle's approach to work very well. Like, yes, you can break the game. I'm the dungeon master. I can break the game even harder.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that the players do is immediately on the table for me as the DM. Like, if you are going to abuse teleportation rules, so am I. If you're going to do X, I'm going to do it harder. There's a bit of an arms race feel to that. So sometimes you just sit down with your players and say, like, look, if it feels like an abuse case, point it out to me and we'll have a good laugh about it once. And then we'll just politely agree we're not actually going to do that because it's clearly not in the spirit of the game. But if we want to lean into those things, yes, we're going to turn this game into rocket tag, and I'm going to throw an army of dudes with rockets at you until you fall down, because that's the only way to challenge you. Yeah, just be polite about it.
If your players are using a combination of spike growth and astral monk arms to cheese grate a person, you can do the same thing, and it won't be as fun for your players when it happens to them. And guess what? They won't do that again because they know it's on the table now.
Like, my players would just do it even harder.
Honestly, probably, yeah.
All hail the Leisure Illuminati. I'm Randall James. You'll find me at amateurjack.com and on Twitter and Instagram at jackamateur.
I'm Tyler Campshaw. You'll find me on RPGBOT.net. Facebook and Twitter, RPGBOT.Net, most other socials as RPGBot.
My name's Ash Eli. You'll find me on Twitter summoning the elements to my side at Graven Ashes, or on YouTube at Ash Raven Media. I know I haven't released a video in a while. My life has been crazy. I will be working on a new video, so please just be patient. And if you want to hire me to run one of your games, find me on startplaying.games, link in the description.
If you've enjoyed the show, please rate and review us on Apple Podcast and rate us on Spotify or your favorite podcast app. It's a quick, free way to support the podcast and helps us to reach new listeners. You'll find links in the show notes. You'll find affiliate links for source books and other materials linked in the show notes, as well as on RPGBOT.net. Following these links helps us to make this show happen every week. If your question should be the question of the week next week, please email podcast@RPGBOT.net or message us on Twitter at RPGBOT.Net. Please also consider supporting us on Patreon, where you'll find all kinds of great rewards. At any tier, you'll get early access to RPGBOT.content and polls for future content. At our $3 tiers, you'll enjoy your choice of ad-free podcast episodes or ad-free access to RPGBOT.net. At our $5 tiers and above, you'll get both, plus access to the RPGBOT.Discord. You'll find us at patreon.com/RPGBOT.
Oh, I wish I had remembered to talk about genies granting wishes.
Oh, too bad. I mean, we already talked about it.
I guess we did.
A little bit.
Yeah.